All right. So, um, basically what I'm going to show you guys how to do really quickly is moving platforms and then how to do color variants. And this color variants thing is something I've never shown before, but it's actually like a very useful tool for like getting more out of your sprites. So let's say I want to have, so I just got a standard flip game open here. So let's say I want to make a moving platform, but I don't want to redraw it. I just want to use the same platforms I already have. Well, what you can do is if I click on my platform here, I can just right click it and clone it. And it will make something called a platform 2, but it's going to look identical to the other platforms. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to rename it and I'm going to call it moving platform. Okay, like that. Okay, and then I'm going to drag and put my moving platform on the screen, right? Now, something you might say is, well, I want it to look the same, but I just want it to be a different color. Well, in the past, what people would do is they would go in here and maybe try to manually recolor our paint bucket, which can take a long time. Well, there's actually a color property here on the left, and you may not have known this, but let's say I want this platform just to be like red. There's a color property right here on the left. I can just click it and I could just change it to red and I instantly get like a red platform and the color has changed. Okay. This can be really useful too with like enemy sprites. So let's say I want a different variation of the knight that is harder. I could just recolor a knight and or let's say I poison the knight, right? And I want to change this color and I can make him look green like he's poisoned. So I could do that and then now I've got a poison knight. So just by doing that, it's basically like just doing a hue and saturation change in Photoshop is essentially what it is. But I very quickly just changed the colors of these sprites. So it's a way to like easily get different characters or different sprites just by recoloring, like literally with one click. So that alone, I think, is a useful thing that you might be able to use. And then in terms of creating a moving platform, so a lot of you could probably imagine like, oh, I want this to move left and right or up and down. Um, Before they created this behavior, people would like manually make these bullets and make it bounce in between objects just like the knight did, right? But they've added a behavior, I don't know, probably like 2 years ago or something that like works really well, and it's called sine, S-I-N-E. It's a sine. It's like a sine wave. If you ever done sine waves in like math or science, that's what it is. So if I click on this moving platform, I don't want it on the HUD layer, so I'm going to change that right now. But if I just give it a behavior here, so let me see. So the behavior is called sine, S-I-N-E, like that, and it just looks like a wave. Now you'll notice the other behavior I have on here is actually instead of solid, it's called jump through. What jump through does is it makes it solid from the top, but not from the bottom. So like if you want platforms that the character can jump up through them, you could give them jump through behavior. That's another quick one that I haven't really shown you that you might find interesting. So just with the sign behavior by default, this is what it's going to do. I'll load it up here. So you can see my block here is just floating left and right. So it's like a moving platform. You can see jump through behavior allows me to jump up underneath the platforms. So that could be something that might be interesting to you as well. Now with this sign behavior, there's a lot we can do with this. So the first thing here is right now it's set to horizontal, which is left and right. I could set it to vertical, which would have it move up and down. So you'll see that the platform now will go up and down instead. But then there's some other really cool things in here, and some of these are newer. Forward and backward is basically the same as left and right, but it's relative to like if you have an object that changes angles, this is going to be basically be always forward and backward. But like you can do width and height. So watch this. If you do sine with width, instead of moving it like stretches it. So like it basically just gets longer and shorter, so it does more of a stretching motion. And then vertical is the same thing for vertical, or that would be height. You could do size and completely change the entire size, height, and width wise. So you can see it like gets bigger and smaller. So you can do that. It's like a pulsing wave, but it does different effects. Here's another one. You could do angle where it's like basically teetering on, like you'll see the angle will kind of rotate and bend. So you could have something like swinging. So if you had something in the air that was like swinging down. So the sign behavior actually has a lot built into it. You could even do opacity. If you do opacity, basically it makes it slowly fade in and out, which could be a cool. So you can see it fades out and then fades in. And obviously you could do that with fade behavior too, but if you just want like a pulsing fade, you could do that. Um, So there's, oh, and then Z elevation. This one's kind of cool. The Z elevation is actually like 3D. Watch this. It kind of like, yeah, it kind of like shoots out and comes at you like 3D. So yeah, the Z elevation's kind of cool. Um, so those are different like bases, but like for a basic moving platform, you would just do horizontal or vertical, right? So now if I had this vertical one, you have something called a period. Basically it has like a magnitude. So the period and magnitude are the two main settings you want here. Magnitude is how many pixels it's going to move from. So right now it's got like a 50 pixel magnitude. So when it's moving up and down or left and right, it's doing it within a 50 pixel radius. Okay. The period is how long it's going to take to complete that cycle or that magnitude, right? So for example, if I make this a longer magnitude, it's going to move slower because it has longer to go. So you'll see here as it moves. So I did a vertical, but you can see it's a taller magnitude. So that means it's going to go up and down farther. And then if I want it to move faster, I can lower the periods. Because the period, so if I do a period of 2, it means it's going to complete that up and down cycle in only 2 seconds instead of 4. So you can see it's going to go a lot faster. So basically, as you increase the magnitude, you're going to want to increase the speed if you want to keep the speed up. Well, that'd be crazy if I did 2,000. All right, I'll be crazy and do 2,000. It's going to go crazy, though. Probably going to move really slow. Oh, yep, yep, there it goes. It's zip, 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 because it's only taking like 2 seconds to complete that, right? So if I go with higher magnitude, you're going to have to slow it down. So I might want to do like a 15-second period. Then should move a little bit slower. Yeah, it's still going pretty fast, though. But you can see it's like flying. You might not even be able to see it, but it's like flying up and down off the screen. So maybe if I did something a little bit more reasonable, right? Like 200. But yeah, so if you are interested in moving objects or platforms, like look at this sign behavior, play around with the settings, but it's definitely like a very useful thing. And you can see my character can interact with it, and then it will carry my character and move them around. So that was basically just something useful I wanted to show you on sign behavior and then how to do that color change trick there.